All right, ready to dive into something kind of interesting. We're going deep on the law of vibration today, and you've given us this YouTube video transcript about, well, basically using energy to get what you want in life, manifestation, all that. But before we, get too skeptical, even if that's not your thing, this stuff touches on psychology, self-improvement, even physics a little bit.
Yeah, what's really interesting here is that the law of vibration basically says that everything in the universe is like vibrating at a specific frequency. And we're talking everything from the tiniest little particles to like our emotions and thoughts, even physical objects.
It's kind of wild to think about everything like humming with energy we can't even see, right? So where do those good vibes and bad vibes come in? The video mentions those a lot, especially about people.
Right, there are all those classic examples of high and low vibe personalities, but it's not about like labeling people. What's fascinating is that we're all on a spectrum, always moving. And that's actually empowering because it means we've got the power to shift our own energy.
That makes sense. We all have those amazing days, and those days where even getting out of bed is a struggle. So it's less about being stuck in one box and more about understanding that we naturally fluctuate.
Exactly. And that's where recognizing those high and low vibe qualities comes in. If we can spot the signs in ourselves and others, we can start to make like conscious choices about the energy we're putting out and surrounding ourselves with.
It's like that feeling you get walking into a room, right? You can just feel the energy, good or bad. Is the video saying that's not just in our heads, it's literally in the air?
That's exactly what it's saying. It's not just your imagination, it's the collective frequency of the space. Think about it. A room full of people celebrating is going to feel totally different from, say, a library where it's silent and everyone's focused. The energy of the people, the history of the space, it all builds as invisible energy field.
So our emotions are like little radio waves constantly transmitting and, I guess, affecting everything around us. That's a pretty wild idea.
And that idea is kind of the basis for using the law of vibration for manifestation. The video says we can actually use this energy to create the outcomes we want.
Okay, now that's where things get interesting. We're not just talking about good vibes in a room, we're talking about manifesting our dreams. But how does that actually work? Isn't that just positive thinking with a different name?
It's a bit more than just thinking happy thoughts. The video lays out some steps, and it all starts with self-awareness. You have to figure out your baseline energy. Are you usually optimistic or more pessimistic? What kind of stuff are you watching, reading, listening to? Who are you spending your time with?
So it's about understanding where you're at right now, kind of like if you want to find a new song you love, you got to know what playlist is even on, right?
Exactly. You need to know your starting point before you can, intentionally shift your frequency. And that brings us to the next big step the video talks about, getting super clear on what you actually want.
No more vague wishing, huh?
Right. It's about being specific. And, even more important, connecting with the feeling of your desire. So say you want a promotion at work. The video says to go beyond just thinking, I want that promotion, and instead ask yourself, what does achieving that promotion actually feel like?
So less about the thing itself and more about the emotions attached to it.
Exactly. Imagine you already got that promotion. How would you feel? Successful, proud, financially secure. The video claims that really embodying that feeling, that energetic frequency, is key to aligning yourself with that desire. It's like tuning your inner radio to the station that's playing your desired outcome on repeat.
So if I'm picturing myself in that corner office feeling super stoked about new projects, that's sending out a signal, an actual frequency that matches that reality?
That's kind of the idea. Yeah, and it actually makes a distinction between the law of attraction, which is all about our thoughts, and law of vibration, which is more about the mechanics of it, attract, energy-wise.
Okay, now that makes this whole frequency thing make more sense.
It's like those tuning forks. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
You hit one and the other one with the same frequency will start to vibrate too without even touching it.
Right.
It's about resonance.
It's not just wishful thinking then. It's about creating that energetic alignment with what you want. But how do we know if our internal radio is tuned to the right station? The video mentions signs of our vibration shifting, right?
It does. And it's not all just vague feelings either.
Yeah.
There are some surprisingly concrete signs it gives that our energy is shifting.
Yeah.
Some are kind of what you expect, like feeling lighter, more optimistic.
Right.
Even those meant to be moments happening more often.
We've all had those, when everything just works out perfectly.
Yeah.
Are those synchronicities? Is that what the video calls them?
Totally. Those times when the right people show up at the right time or you stumble across the perfect opportunity just when you need it. The videos suggest those can be signs of, like, being in sync vibrationally with the universe.
Yeah.
But it also gets into more subtle signs, too, like having more energy physically, feeling drawn to healthier habits, even being more forgiving and generous.
It's funny how those things tend to go together, right? Like when I'm feeling run down, generosity is not exactly at the top of my list.
Yeah.
But when I'm energized, it's way easier to be helpful.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then, of course, you've got the flip side. The video connects lower vibration with things like fatigue and brain fog, even more conflicts popping up in your relationships.
Huh, interesting.
And this is interesting. It even talks about technology's impact, like that doom-scrolling spiral before bed.
Oh, tell me about it.
Not just bad for your sleep, apparently, but could be messing with your vibes, too.
So much for unwinding with my phone. This is making me rethink my whole night routine. But okay, let's get practical. The video doesn't just point out the problem, right? It gives strategies for actually shifting our vibration. What really stood out to you?
Well, it covers the usual stuff like meditation and affirmations, gratitude practices, the classics. But what I found really interesting was the focus on our environment. Like the people we hang out with, the spaces we're in, it all plays a part in our overall energy.
Oh, absolutely. It's like that clean room, clear mind idea, but like times 100.
Right.
The video even talks about energy vampires, which I love. We all know those people who just suck the energy out of a room. And then the opposite, those who bring all the good vibes.
Exactly. And the video gets real, suggesting we set boundaries with those energy drainers, even if they're family. It's about recognizing that we've got to curate our energetic environment, just like we would our physical one.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but like with vibes. So choosing our company wisely is kind of key to that high vibe life.
Totally. And it's not just people. It's our physical spaces, too. Clutter, light, even sounds can impact our energy, the video says.
It's crazy how much we underestimate the power of our surroundings. Just opening a window and letting in some fresh air can completely change my mindset.
Absolutely. And don't forget music. The video talks about how different frequencies can affect our energy. It even mentions chanting and binaural beats.
Oh, wow. So are you saying putting on some upbeat music or trying a sound bath is like a tune-up for our energy field?
Exactly. It's about being intentional with the frequencies we're surrounded by, whether it's sound or our social circle or even the food we eat.
Speaking of food, does the video say anything about a high vibe diet? Like what should we be stocking our fridges with?
Think fresh and vibrant. The video emphasizes whole foods, fruits, veggies, all that good stuff. It even suggests that processed foods, even factory-farmed meat, could have a lower vibration because of how they're produced, the energy that goes into them.
So a home-cooked meal made with love probably has a different frequency than a gas station hot dog.
Exactly. It's all connected. And it comes back to that idea of being intentional, of being mindful of the energy we're bringing into our bodies, into our lives through our choices, whether it's the food we eat, the people we hang out with, even the thoughts we're thinking. It all affects our overall vibration.
It's like we're each writing our own energetic symphony, and each choice, each interaction adds a new note.
And all those melodies blend together to create this grand symphony of our collective consciousness. The video even suggests that when we raise our own vibration, we're playing a part in raising that collective consciousness for everyone.
So even if manifesting $1 million isn't our main goal, contributing to a more positive world is a pretty amazing side effect. Count me in. But let's be real. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. What does the video say about those inevitable low points, those challenges we all face? It's like even in the most beautiful symphony, you have those moments of quiet or maybe a little dissonance before it goes back to that harmonious melody, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the video acknowledges that, life has its ups and downs. Energetically speaking, of course, it really emphasizes patience and being kind to yourself, especially when those low vibe moments show up.
Easier said than done, right? I know when I'm feeling down, self-compassion is usually the last thing on my mind. So what does the video suggest? How do we deal with those rough patches without totally like losing our energetic mojo?
It goes back to those core practices we talked about earlier. Meditation, getting out in nature, moving our bodies. It's about having those tools ready to go when those low vibes inevitably hit.
Like a first aid kit for our energy.
Exactly. A little meditation here, a walk in the park there. Just like you wouldn't go on a road trip without checking your spare tire.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have those self-care practices in place. And it's not all about solo efforts either. The video talks about surrounding yourself with good people too.
Our own little vibe tribe, those friends who get it, who you can be real with, who aren't going to judge you for having an off day.
Exactly. Having those genuine supportive relationships makes a huge difference. Building that support system, both internally with those self-care practices and externally with our people.
It's amazing how much our relationships can either boost or drain our energy. It makes you think about what you're bringing to the table too, right? Are you showing up as a supportive friend, a positive force, or are you adding to the negative noise?
Such a good point. We can get so focused on what we're getting, energy-wise, that we forget about what we're giving back. This video reminds us that we're all connected, always affecting each other with our energy, kind of like a ripple effect.
So we've got a responsibility to be aware of our energetic footprint, right? Whether we realize it or not, we're having an impact. That's pretty powerful stuff.
It is powerful. And it gets to the heart of this whole law of vibration thing. Recognizing how powerful our energy is and using it intentionally to create the life we want, both for ourselves and for everyone. And even if we don't buy into every little detail, it gives us a really interesting way to look at ourselves and grow.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own energy and asking, what am I putting out there? Am I contributing to the harmony or, well, the opposite?
Exactly.
I like that.
And that actually leads to a final kind of thought-provoking question for our listeners to chew on. If our thoughts and emotions really do have a frequency, what kind of collective song are we all creating as a society? And how can each of us add a more, harmonious note to that big symphony?
That is a beautiful note to end on. We hope this deep dive into the law of vibration has given you some new ways to think about the power of your own energy and maybe inspired you to tune into your own unique frequency. Until next time, keep those vibes high.